So, welcome everybody. My name is Victor Reyes, and I'm the current president of the Siddhartha School Partnership. And I know everybody currently on, and I'm hoping that others join us. And for those of you who can't be here today and will be watching the recording, just really oceans of gratitude for everything you've done over the years for the school, for the children of Ladakh, and also for your amazing support of Khenzer Rinpoche. What I'd like to try to do is I have a recording of Rinpoche that was made a few weeks back, and it's expressing gratitude for everybody and the support. Um, I'd like to break this up into three different areas. I would like to talk about where we've been, where we're currently at, and the future of the school. So, once again, Victor Reyes, and present with us are board members. So I'd like to recognize Sydney Young, who's been also a past executive director of the project. Incredible support for not only the school for Rinpoche, but also for myself as I'm trying to navigate a very new role of being the president of the board. Sarah also is present, and Sarah Crisp, and I just want to recognize her for the same reasons. Is she is incredible supporter, her and her entire family, and have had the pleasure of speaking to one of her sons on the phone and figuring out that we actually connected many years ago.
Mm.
What a heart of gold he has, and I really appreciate that, Sarah, and appreciate everything that you've done. Mona Pearl Trable is present, and also Matt Gerald is present, also board members. And Noelle Smokey Myers is present. She's our current executive director. So I am so happy, and people will be joining. It happened last time, I think about a week ago. Maybe people got the date confused, and there's some folks who came on. So I just really appreciate everybody being here in support of the school. What I like to do is I like to start off with a little video of Rinpoche, and I'm hoping I'm able to share this. Um, and so I'm going to come here. Are people able to see the video?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to go and play it.
So, my dear friends, sponsors, and I want to say thank you for all of you to sending me my birthday lovely message and taking care of my vision of the Siddhartha School to bring the children modern education together and supporting the Siddhartha School so much. Your kindness, your generosity, my school doing well. Every year we get opportunity new 30 children to join with our school. That school children now spread all over in India and other side. You may know one of them, my student, she is great position in Ladakh. And the second one is doing the PhD, Master in Education in Colombo University. And other students are doing in India, many of them in college, university, master degree, law degree, the bank all happening because your kindness, your generosity makes the world change. Then we together can try to change the world with peace, love, and kindness. Thank you so much. Bye.
So it's just really heartwarming. Just watching the video of Rinpoche and also having had the experience on several occasions, most recently the 30th anniversary, to spend time not only with him, but many people who are currently on this call. And to think that what has happened over the past 30 years, um, because of the support of people in the United States, people in other parts of the world, the support the school gets, even from the people who live in Stock Village and other parts of Ladakh. Um, and when we were driving one time, well, in the past July when I was there, we came around the corner near Stock Palace, and there was this little, I'm going to call it a hut. And as we drove by, very casually, Rinpoche glanced back at me and said, "This was the first school." And as we passed by the building afterwards several times, what was brought to my mind is the picture that we've used on several occasions of the first teacher with the first class.
Mm.
And I know many people have a lot of um, uh, feelings about the time. I know everybody here and the times that they have spent with the school, but to think in 30 years that this, the school and because of what was originally the project and the partnership, the growth over the years from this one little room that is not occupied right now, by the way, it's just there and with grass growing around it. It's hard, when we picture the picture of the teacher with the students and just kids playing there, and now to move over to the campus where we currently have, science buildings, library, hostels, our two buildings which house the classrooms, also the great, the auditorium that has been built over the years. The school has grown at an incredible rate. So as we reflect on the past, I think about, just sharing personally, and everybody's got their own story of meeting Rinpoche in Colorado Springs at Natalie's house, to do a conversation. It's like, I thought it'd be cool to do, and meeting this monk. But I didn't realize how that meeting changed my life
Mm.
in several ways. Number one, what he had to say to me was definitely not what my preconception of a monk said to people, especially as I looked for some guidance in the work that I did at the time as a judge. And I was not expecting that people were caught up in samsara. You got to do what you got to do. You got to think of the community. And then as we had our discussion, he started talking about the school and the changes that have happened in his community because of the school. And it was then back in the year 2016, that I first donated to the Siddhartha School. So going on 9 years. Um, I know at this point, um, it is important for me um, to support not only Rinpoche, but also to support the children just for the sake of supporting the children. Um, we, I support at this point, I sponsor 3 children. I actually added a fourth, but I added a fourth through my grandson because I thought it was important for him to have a connection, even at 4 years old, of something greater than him.
Mhm.
And so we recently received the email with his name on it. And the little boy named Jigment, who's 5, so he's about the same age. And so I showed Forrest the picture. Um, and I mean, his response was very much like I would expect my 4-year-old grandson was that is this money coming out of my money or is my money still for games? And "Hey, Papa, can you pay for this or am I supposed to pay for this?" And I said, I'll take care of it until you can take care of it. Um, but I wanted to instill in him um, a sense of community that's outside of just his little realm. And so as we look at, the past and we look at our donor base, many people have been students of Rinpoche's. There are some people who've been able to make the trek to Ladakh, which is not an easy thing to do. So, it's not only the expense, but it's kind of an arduous journey. Not as arduous as it was maybe 30 years ago, but it takes a long time and a lot of effort to get there. And as I reflect now on our donors, many of you have been around so many years and in a way have grown up with the school in so many different ways. Um, but we also, at this point in the future, are also opening, looking for ways to open to younger people.
Mm.
So what I'm really hoping is, as we move from our past, the 30 years anniversary of the school, as we move, as we look and reflect on all the work that has been done, um, and we look at presently what's going on with the school, we have a new well that has been dug. And that while we were there for the 30th anniversary, one of the local politicians uh, made a pledge to provide solar panels for the well, to provide greenhouses, because and as those come into fruition, it's a very positive thing. Once again, the students are scoring some of the highest scores as they have been. And what we have to reflect is 30 years ago, they didn't do that. One of the main impetuses for Rinpoche doing this is the low test scores and how that restricted children from Ladakh to moving on to secondary and higher education in India. Because a lot of the educational system in India is based upon what you've done before, what your career choices are. So when we look and reflect now, and then and Sarah and Mona and Sydney and Matt, anytime or anybody wants to say anything, please, at any moment, um, um, step in because this is I look at it as a community effort. Um, but it, but when we are seeing the changes happening, the growth that is occurring, and one of the things that and a lot of the changes financially, we have to realize that it's requirements that the Indian government is imposing on the school,
Mm-hmm.
which actually is raising the cost of the school. Um, Under Indian law, and I think this is important to share, is there's built-in system of pay increases for teachers that we don't necessarily have here. But every year the pay increase is required of 5% until they reach a certain threshold. And I think at this point, with our teachers, we only have two of our teachers that have reached the threshold where they don't get the automatic 5% pay increase. So now that's something that's very foreign for us here, the built-in pay, but that's required under Indian law. And that automatically every year is going to raise our cost. We had what we do when we go to Ladakh is we have an opportunity during our stays, and I've been privy to this the past couple of years, and I know Sarah's done this a lot more than I have, of meeting with the Ladakhi group that's part of this partnership. And we sit and we have a conversation. One of the things that I've realized as a donor that I was not fully aware, and it's not anybody's fault but my own, is exactly what we do as the partnership as it relates to the school decisions, decisions that are made at the school. Um,
Mhm.
any decision related to the operations of the school is made by the school. Our partnership, the United States portion of the partnership, is to fundraise for the teachers' salaries. We also raise money through the sponsorship of the children. But to dictate to what happens at the school, what they should be teaching, what they should be doing, that's just definitely not our role. And what they are doing on the ground in Ladakh is just amazing. We have this incredible principal, Dechen Wangmo, who through her efforts is not only keeping up with the requirements of the Indian government, but going beyond that by introducing social emotional learning, an SEL program. That there are people from the United States who are very generous to help sponsor it. In fact, very recently, two teachers, both from Canada, have been at the school, and Sophie Langry, I'm sorry, and I don't remember the other person's name off the top of my head. But so
Danielle Marquis.
Danielle,
Danielle
okay,
Marquis.
thank you. And they work together, and they have bought the SEL program. They come basically on their own, you know, they pay for their own flights. We help support them as far as the stay goes. But their time and their flights, that's taken care of by them. And this is something that's very important because it's not only causing changes within the school environment, but part of their goal with the SEL is that the whole community benefits from it.
Mhm.
The parents benefit from it. And we were so blessed at the 30th anniversary celebration to witness a play being put on. And this play was the choreography was done by a drama teacher who now the school has hired, um, and will be supporting starting next year because the school is currently supporting her, who was able to tap in to something that's very important around the world, which was the disconnect between parents and children based upon um, the use of computers, the use of phones, and the emotional impact that has on the children. This is an example of what your support has done for the school. Because this is not a conversation that is being had in every Indian school. There's a C program that was sponsored by Emory that is in some of the schools, but the SEL program that Siddhartha School through Principal Dechen Wangma has put forward is so unique that she has been even asked to speak internationally on it, and went to Denmark. I believe it was Denmark, right?
Right. Yep.
And for this international meeting of educators, where she presented what she was doing in Ladakh. In fact, after that meeting, she was asked to be, I think, one of their board members, I think secretary or one of the membership positions she was asked to do. So we've on the property, there's a well being dug, and that's been completed. There's with the school, there's an SEL program that is flourishing at this point. Our students, once again, are scoring very, very high marks on their testing in India. Our students are also going on to incredible successes in higher education. So for those of you who may not be aware, The Siddhartha School High School is named such because it goes up to the 10th grade. There are two more grades, 11th and 12th. And as children transition from 10th to 11th and 12th, they do so by picking out a certain area of interest educationally and career-wise that will then lead to post-secondary, post-high schooling. And this is something that I personally, not until this year was got a better handle on as to
Mm,
how things work in India. Um, the Indian government is also once again making some changes as to that, which is requiring schools to have an 11th and 12th. So, and I believe that's, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's like a 2 year out kind of schedule to have people be able to um, incorporate that within their budgets or within the physical plant of schools. So that is something that our Ladakhi board is very aware of, our principal is very aware of. And now we're figuring out how to incorporate this
mm,
into the schooling, which is two more grades. In our conversations with people in Ladakh, there are certain areas that a school can, directions that a school can go to. One being more science oriented, one being more business oriented. And what we may be looking at is going in the direction, or those two grades of classes where we don't have to add to the physical plan. We don't have to add labs if it's science. Whatever structures need to go with labs, whatever plumbing needs to go with labs, whatever destruction of chemicals that need to go with labs, and those expenses. So what we're looking at in the now is how to incorporate that into our finances as we support the school, and how to incorporate that within the physical layout that we currently have, and what that may necessitate in the near future as far as building space. So those are, and that's part, I think, of the now as we're trying to navigate these things. There's also so much going on with the school. I'm going to say sports wise, things that I didn't ever imagine happening, where the children are competing now with other schools in India and actually excelling
mm,
in the competitions. And that's something that definitely, my first visit in the school was 2017. And I did go there for about 3 weeks. I was allowed a certain leeway at that point to help with some of the classes, with the English speaking classes. Um, but this idea of organized sports against competing with other schools, not on anybody's radar at that point in time, but that's becoming more of a reality. What we do share, and I'm hoping that people are able to access it and do access, is through emails, the changes that are happening in the school. We share special events through our emails,
mm,
and so people can be updated with that. Also through our social media, be it Facebook or Instagram, we are also sharing events that are happening. So I really encourage people not only to look at those events as they occur, but to share them. Because I'm not a social media kind of guy, but I'm learning. And I think there's that little arrow share button that doesn't take much effort to do. But if you share it, you can share it and expand that to people that you know so that they have more awareness of what is happening uh, with the school. Uh, We're also
Can I add something that I
yeah,
think's happened since Dachin arrived, that she and I chatted about many, many times that I think is super important for the future of the school is the more formal foundation of the Siddhartha School Alumni Association and the invitation back to the school, alumni participating in events, coming back to share with students their path forward after leaving the school, their successes, helping the seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th graders on what they've, Dachin has plans to bring them in as mentors for when they come back. So I think that's a wonderful addition she's brought. And like most schools around our country, a lot of support for a high school, for a university, comes from its alumni. And I think that's a dream of Dachin's, that at some point, when they reach that level of prosperity in their work in the world, in India or someplace else, that they can, and I know they have, provided gifts back to the school as well. So
and thank you so much. And Sarah and I were there last year for the first alumni reunion. And there are many of the students hadn't seen each other for a while because just as an explanation, please once again correct me if I misspeak. But once they go leave the 10th grade, there are children who don't stay in that Ladakh area.
Mhm.
They may have to go for schooling for what they're interested in to other parts of India. And so I was really surprised to hear that an 11th grader is heading over to Cargill or heading down to Bangalore to continue their education because we can't fathom that our children at 11th grade would leave the house and have to go to another part of India just because of the programming they wish to engage in the future. Um, so the alumni reunion was amazing last year. The photographs and to see where the children who were, some of them in their 20s and looking at their pictures from like a decade before. And as they also are navigating life, um, there is in the middle of this a lot of financial strain on the families. We still have a percentage of our students that we sponsor, and there's more sponsors that are needed. Um, but there are many of our families where their parents are working maybe one or two jobs. There are families who reside outside of Leh in small mountain villages where the children live in the hostel, which they're incredibly taken care of, um, form their own community. I think, in having visited some of the in the hostel on several occasions, um, and whose support is so important um, um, in order for them to even get an education. Some of the alumni we met, I think Sarah can confirm this, were able to leave their villages, get an education, come back to Ladakh, and go to their villages and use their talents in business, some in medicine, to give back to the communities. So when we are sponsoring a child, we're not just sponsoring a child. We are at times sponsoring entire swaths of the Northern Himalayas by the donations that we make. So we think of, when I look at the impact of one of the children that I've sponsored, and to see them moving on, even, a decade later, to go down to Bangalore to go to the Dalai Lama school in Bangalore and further their education. And with the commitment of, and it's not a mandatory commitment, but I think it is a heartfelt commitment of coming back to where they grew up and bringing their talents back. As been mentioned, there is one student, Chusket, who's been going to the school since, and I believe we all know her, and who has done amazing work in getting a PhD now. She's at Columbia, right? I think she's at Columbia getting her PhD.
Yep.
And she has done so much in the interim for women and young girls in Ladakh by establishing programs um, related to women's issues that were inconceivable several years back, wasn't even discussed. Yet, because of their ability to get not, and their foundation at the Siddhartha School, their ability to further their education through the support of some donors, um, and further their education, get their masters in very specific areas related to public health. They're bringing that back to their communities. And Shusket's not, not the only example of a person who's doing this. Many people in Ladakh are doing it. Graduates from the school have also helped with the videos that you're seeing, where they come back. They've developed video talents, and they've come back to the school. We've worked with them, and they produce these amazing videos. And some of the videos you'll be seeing on Giving Tuesday, these new videos that were produced. So this is just another example of things that people are doing, with the foundation being this school. And I think some of us, as I remember back on my elementary school, this is just my own feeling, but definitely the connections made are very different than the connections I think in the Siddhartha School that I made as a child. I think there's something very deeper, more of a family feeling than I even, and folks, please speak up, on your own impressions. But when I see what is happening at the Siddhartha School, it's a family. And the connections run deeper, and one of the things that we also realize is they're generational, because now we've got the children at the age that their children are coming to the nursery or kindergarten. And once again, it's something that I've been very blessed to witness, along with the impact of Khenzo Rinpoche on the school. When I see him come into a room, be it kindergarten or be it where the older children go, the building the older children go to, all I hear is memele and kids just running up to hold them. And it's something that, yeah, I can take pictures, I can video, but I can never capture the deep sentiment and the love that the children have for him and that he has for the children. And I was able, very surprised, last Friday morning, to actually get a phone call from Rinpoche, asking, out of the blue. I'm sitting there at a little cafe with my grandson, and Rinpoche's name comes up on my phone, and he had gotten the email about the talk we were having, and wanted me to once again express his gratitude for the support that everybody has given. So I've kind of been talking a long time,
No,
you know, and I don't know if there's anything else that anybody wants to share. And
I also think that one of the important things that you brought up, Victor, is involving younger people. And it could be through things about the trees, it could be sponsorship. I know my son has brought in young people to sponsor, and that there are young people who went to the Siddhartha School who are interested in now sponsoring students there. They look at their own situations and realize they can give back in that way. There isn't as much of a culture of donating money the way we have here, like giving X amount of money to a school or a church organization. So it is a way in that some of them see to support the school where they had been. Um, and and I think the other piece is that this past time when you and I were there, Victor, a young woman came to speak to us all, and she'd been supported by Yarmouth High through the years, and she'd gone on and gotten her master's in rural agriculture and had been able to come home to Ladakh. Oftentimes they're sent somewhere else if it's a government job, but in this instance, she came back to Ladakh and was very excited to share her story, and I passed that along to Yarmouth High, which again, it's young people raising money every year to support a student, which is pretty wonderful. There are a couple of schools here in Maine that do that.
right, and on the sponsorship, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. On the sponsorship, what's also important for us to realize in the United States is that there are students who are being sponsored by the teachers and by administrators at the
Yes. Yeah.
so there has been that commitment for the children is very real, and the
Yep.
children don't know that there's certain people that they are studying under that are helping sponsor them.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
when we look at what we do, and we have to always remember that there is parallel board in Ladakh they're making a lot of incredible decisions on the ground. They're also doing their part of fundraising for the school, which, for instance, while we were there this last time, there was a person at one of the Ladakhi board members who had donated several $1,000s worth of musical equipment to the school.
Oh, yes.
And when he got recognized, I thought he was going to crawl under the table, Sarah, right? And then he didn't even want his picture taken with Rinpoche in order to celebrate what he had done. But very low key, very, under the radar, had over the course of time. Another thing that has been done, which is incredible that people realize, is through Principal Dacian's efforts, uh,
Yeah.
the Indian military has actually done a lot of work at the school, and including putting in a basketball court pretty soon. I think we got that road put, so there is a lot of community support that, that sometimes we don't even hear about until it's happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so as we talk about donations, um, we have to really appreciate the fact that the people in the dock don't take anything that we do for granted. They are making their own incredible efforts, um, but they do need our support. You
And
know,
I want to mention one other thing too, Victor, that the through Principal Dishan Wagmo, they are also adopting the UN Sustainable Goals.
Oh,
And
right.
they did a huge mural. Three of the students did this huge mural of the UN Sustainable Goals, and they're working with those, and they were recognized across India for their achievement. And it was a really, really special award that was given to these three young women who did the mural. And I think it was just wonderful that they're looking out across the world and how they can make a difference in so many different ways. That
Yeah,
is part of the integrity and the fiber of being part of that school.
and it's definitely something that's very different. Is that different? I think the United States is there is a more feeling of feeling, and I think it's partly because of the SEL program, because the SEL program that's taught by Sophie and Danielle, it emphasized relationship with myself, my
Mhm.
emphasized relationship with me and you, and the added component, there's a relationship with us, with me, with us, the community. So when we really don't talk a lot about UN initiatives in the United States. However, my experience internationally is UN initiatives, UN proclamations are more talked about,
Mhm.
and they're more taken into the fabric of communities. So what you were just describing is definitely something that's painted along the wall and that people are living up to. That's the thing that with the principal Daishin Wangmo um, is when they take something in, it's done authentically because they incorporate it into the fabric of the school. Just like SEL.
Yeah.
SEL is not just for the children. SEL is for the parents. SEL is for the community, which now is developing and this is because of this school. This is because of your donations. But SEL is being incorporated in a way that there's conversations that are being had in homes that did not happen ever before. And that's because that's the focus. The focus is not just on the students, but on the impact of, and this is the impact the school has having on communities. So once again, I think it's very important that we realize that what we do as our donations and our support of the children and of the staff reverberates generationally. Um, so it's definitely something that we have. Um, Good point, Sydney. Any questions? So I'm gonna call on you.
Oh, I don't know. I think I share most of what you all said. I especially feel the sense of family when we go there. I mean, this summer when we all met there, it's just all hugs and good, and there's just feels like such a connection to the school. So if you know, it's we've been fortunate to be able to travel there numerous times and form really, tight connections and bonds. So I think one of the challenges is to allow other people to have that feeling without necessarily having to make the trip. And I think the newsletter that goes the mailings and the videos of Rinpoche and I think the videos for the annual drive in coming up. All of those things I think go a long way toward giving that sense of community. And so I think it's good work that happens. And as you said, Victor, geez, now I'm forgetting his name. The young man who went through the school and comes back and does a lot of the video work and stuff. Now on.
Now one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that just makes it feel like family. I mean, he takes time from his job and his work, and he's a busy man, but he's dedicated to coming back and doing those videos. So that really instills that sense of family, I think. And it is the SEL, I think all of that builds community and family. And I think we have much to be proud of. It's not how I see our school systems working in this country for sure. It's there's a lot of stress and a lot of trouble, and I see less of that when I certainly go to Siddhartha school. So
Barbara, do you have anything that you do such incredible work for the school
Oh,
as it is with your knowledge and your support and you're helping us. I know with our writings and things. So
Well, I just learned a bunch of things. I get the advance notice when I proof the newsletters, but I just learned like 6 different things that the school's doing that I didn't know about. So there's a lot going on there. I think Sydney's heard me say this many times. There's just a sense of joy at the school when you go there. And everyone there is there for the kids. The focus is very clear that it's to help those kids. And I don't know, you can see it. From a practical point, there's two things. Dave and I have talked about this. It would be nice to have like some sort of info on putting Siddhartha in your will.
Oh,
You know, I think we kind of did it, but we have to redo all that stuff. So it would be nice to be able to do, I forget what they call it, planned giving or
yeah.
something like that for the long timers like us. And the other thing is Rinpoche always brought this personal connection. It might be nice to get Dechen to come over and visit if we could afford to do that, to get her to give presentations at the communities that, have supported the
That's a
school, like
great,
Colorado Springs and Seattle or wherever we are. But that involves visas and that involves some legwork. But it'd be nice to get a little of that Ladakhi, a Ladakhi over here.
And as I'm sinking in my chair, I keep on like losing this little picture above my head that
Mhm.
that is kind of what it's all about, and I just really appreciate all of you taking your time to spend with us. I think we should do this again. Um, and as we update, and maybe Noel and I will talk about that. And maybe either once a month or maybe every a couple months, having an opportunity to at least meet with folks and give them updates. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate your time. And I think what we'll do is get this to Rebecca and Noel and see if we can't put this up on our website for people to access. So thank you so much, everybody. And I guess what I'd like to do is just take a moment and just to dedicate all the positive energy that we've created through our meeting today, um, to continue the hard work that people have done for the past 30 years and begin the vision for the next 30 years for the school. So just dedicating any positive energy that we've created to the long life of Khyentse Rinpoche and also to the sustainability of this amazing organization and school. So thank you so much and have an amazing day.
Thank you, Victor.
Bye bye.